Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jenna, and if you're new here, hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today's video is a fun DIY video. We are recreating some high-end decor dupes, or I wouldn't even call them dupes. They are just replicas or lookalikes to the decor pieces. And I say we because this video is a collaboration with one of my besties, my homegirl, my sister, Evelyn Hernandez, here on YouTube. We coincidentally figured out that we got the same vase and had the same plan to DIY it and put out a DIY video. So here we are, we decided to collaborate instead. So we have 4 different categories. The first one is the vase. We use 2 different methods, similar, but also different. So you'll get 2 looks at that. And then we have McGee & Co, Amber Interiors, and a textured spray paint. So I'm excited to get into today's video. I'm excited about today's video. I can't wait to see how Evelyn's turns out. So make sure you check out hers as well. Let's get into today's video. I came across this vase while shopping at Home. It retails for $29.99 and they do have it in a smaller size, but it comes in a different color. It was an identical shape and texture to one of my vases. I have 2 different variations of this vase, and since they are vintage, they don't all look the same. My smaller one has an olive undertone to it, but it is more brown, and the larger one is more olive and it has some rust spots. For the paint, I decided to use acrylic paint. I used colors burnt umber and olive green. I had black in case I needed it, but I ended up not using it. For the ratio, I mixed 1 part burnt umber and 1 part olive green. Once I realized it was dark enough, I knew I wouldn't need the black. This ratio was a bit too brown for the color I wanted, so I mixed in 2 parts olive and 1 part brown, and it gave me the color that I was going for. And here's the 2 colors swatched side by side. I painted the entire vase with this ratio, and I followed that by lightly dabbing burnt umber on a sponge in some random spots and focusing on the bottom to add a rustic rust color. My olive paint mix is still wet, so it all blends in together really nicely. Once I was done painting, I used 2 heavy coats of glazed spray paint to get that glazed effect. I feel like heavy coats work the best for me. Once that dried, I lightly sanded the ridges on the side of the vase with fine grit sandpaper to remove some of that paint. It reveals some of that orange stone underneath, giving it a more aged look. And last, since both my vases had tiny specks of white paint splattered on them, I decided to do the same using a light beige acrylic paint that I had on hand. And that completes this vase. To style it, I used some wisteria stems from Etsy. I love these stems. They have become my favorites, and I used 3 stems for this look. We had stormy weather this day, so I did end up moving the vase to a brighter spot to capture its true color for you guys. I was really happy with how it turned out. Our next category is textured spray paint, and for this I decided to recreate the 5-inch devotion flower pot from Atelier that retails for $75. I picked up a 6-inch scallop planter from Walmart for less than $6. This planter also comes in a 4-inch size as well. I'm using the Krylon textured paint in burnt sienna. It's going to give me a beautiful texture and a rusted iron color similar to the Atelier one, since that one is actually iron. With this paint, I found that light layers and spraying from a distance worked the best. I did a total of 2 coats of this spray paint. Once that dried, I used burnt umber and black acrylic paint for some distressing. I mixed water with the paint in 2 separate bowls, making sure to not mix the brown and the black, and then I mixed equal parts of the paint together with no water. I'm using a paper towel and I lightly dabbed the paint on. If I had any harsh areas with too much black, I went over it with the watered down burnt umber color and vice versa. You want to make sure you go back and forth between the black and the brown paint. And if you need to thin out any areas or blend them further, you have your water mixtures. I made sure to make the edges around the scallops and the bottom of the pot a bit darker than the rest. It just shows more signs of aging or rusting when you make the edges a bit darker. And that completes that DIY. To style it, I placed it next to my olive plant and my Olive Atelier planter and some of my vintage breadboards, also from Olive Atelier. And my drop-in plant is from Pure Salt Interiors. My goal is to add DIY into my home, but to not let it look like DIY, and this blend it in with my vintage pieces really nicely. Next up is McGee & Co. I've been wanting this bath caddy for some time now. The price isn't horrible if you can get it on sale, but I knew the color and the size wouldn't work for my space, so I decided to recreate it. I went to Lowe's and I picked up some poplar board. I found it in the perfect size, so I honestly didn't need to look around for other wood options. You can if you want to. This is just what I found on a quick trip to Lowe's. I also picked up a 1x2 that you honestly don't need. You could just use scrap wood from the big board. I was just being lazy and wanted a quick fix. The McGee & Co. Caddy is 30 by 10 inches. I needed mine to be 35 by 10 inches to fit my tub, so we cut it down to size. Home Depot or Lowe's can cut it down for you if you don't have the right power tools. And for the round edge, I used a pot lid to draw out a perfectly rounded edge. I used a jigsaw to cut out the round edges. This is my first time using one, so it wasn't great, but that is okay because the McGee & Co. one had a rustic and perfect organic edge to it. I sanded the edges to round them out throughout the entire board, and last we used chisels to create deeper wood grains. I was not great at this, so my husband helped me out, thank God, but I didn't want too much carved wood, so we kept it very minimal. I neglected this project for a few weeks. I just left that board in my garage until I found the perfect stain. I used special walnut. This was the closest stain that I found that wouldn't clash with the wood in my bathroom because the wood in there is so warm. Feel free to use whatever color you'd like. Once I stained everything and it all dried, I used wood glue and clamps to secure the 6-inch 1x2s to the bottom side of the board. This will help keep the board from sliding around in your bathtub. You can skip this if you don't feel like doing it or you don't feel like you need it, but I wanted to create the exact McGee & Co. board. Once I was finished and I set it in my bathtub, I felt like the stain was a bit too warm, so I used a paint wash to neutralize it. It's just watered down beige paint. Please make sure you start on the bottom side and make sure you like the way that it looks before attempting this on the surface. I wiped it on with a paper towel and immediately wiped it off with a microfiber cloth. And I repeated this step 3 times till I got the look that I was going for. And last, to seal it, I sprayed on clear matte polyacrylic spray paint. You want to make sure you get a spray paint that doesn't have a gloss to it. The matte finish will help it look like it's a more rustic piece of wood. I styled it in my bathroom with some bath bombs, a silver fluted vase from Roan Iris, some Amazon tulips, and of course a candle, and I love the way that it looks. I can't believe I was able to recreate it for only $35 instead of spending the $105 at McGee & Co. It is so pretty and I'm very happy with it. I kept the hardest DIY for last. I decided to recreate the gold water leather trays from Amber Interiors. I love the way these look. They are so beautiful. It is a set of 3, but for $340, I don't know if I could ever justify that price. So I decided to do it myself and see how it looks. I picked up some vinyl fabric from Hobby Lobby. I purchased 1 yard for $25.99. And I will keep all the measurements that I use in the description box for you guys because it is a lot, so that way you don't have to keep pausing the video. I went off measurements she had on her site to get it as close to hers as I can. I wanted a 2-inch border and I kind of regret this. I wish I would have done 3, but I did the 2-inch border. So instead of cutting my fabric at 13 by 10 inches for her largest tray, I cut it at 17 by 14 inches for the large tray and 13 by 11 inches for this small tray. You will need 2 rectangles cut in the same size. Here I am cutting the largest tray, so I cut 2 17 by 14 rectangles. I will be creating 2 different sizes. Once you cut them out, you will need to glue them together. I picked up the only fabric adhesive that I found at Hobby Lobby and I didn't love it. It ended up not holding my fabric together, so I recommend buying a different one if you can find one. I glued those 2 rectangles together. I couldn't get mine to align perfectly, so it's okay if you don't. I cut off any excess fabric and around the edges. This is really important because it bonded them together. It almost looked like it's one piece instead of 2. So I took my time with it and I cut really slow to make sure that I get very straight lines. Next, we are making an insert. I used cardboard. You can use whatever you want. I feel like cardboard is the easiest. This insert is for my small tray, which will be a 9 by 7. So I cut the cardboard an inch bigger on each side, making it a 10 by 8. And I wrapped the cardboard in more fabric. And for this fabric, you're going to make it a little bigger than your cardboard. So I added an extra inch on each side, making it 11 by 9. And you're going to use the same adhesive to bond it together, and you have a beautiful insert that you're going to set aside. And we're going to go back to the first pieces that we bonded together. Now it's time to add the rivets. I picked up some simple silver ones from Hobby Lobby. I know Amazon and Etsy sell some brass ones if you are into that or want something with a more unique, ornate design. You will also need a rivet toolkit. I also picked this up from Hobby Lobby. I started off by folding my corners, making sure that they are straight, and I taped them together using painter's tape. I repeated this process on all 4 corners, and for the rivet tool, this is very sharp. You will damage your surface if you don't protect it, so I grabbed a piece of scrap wood that I had in my garage and I made sure to use that underneath. I used a rubber mallet to cut through that leather to pierce your holes for your rivets. Using the other rivet tools in the kit, you are going to lock it into place. This part was quick and it was very enjoyable for me because figuring out all the measurements and cutting was not fun at all. We are done, and you're going to gently slide in your insert into the corners, and we are done. And this is how it looks. It doesn't look identical to the Amber Interiors one, but it is close enough, and I'm really excited to add these into my collection. I styled mine together, stacked on my console table with a candle on top. This candle is from Target, and I'm really loving the pop of silver. Alright you guys, that completes today's video. Make sure you check out Evelyn's video. Her videos never disappoint. I call her the DIY queen because she is. She's amazing inside and out. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our podcast channel. We have a new episode coming out soon, and it is a detailed overlook on the new Target fall collection that's coming out, so you'll get behind the scenes look of what we think about this collection. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me as much as I enjoyed filming this for you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.